Welcome, everyone, to the Brickyard. We're in line for one of either the most exciting races at the Brickyard or one of the potentially most traumatic races at the Brickyard. It's going to be a very topsy-turvy day in Indianapolis. We're glad you're with us here for Winstel on ABN. 50 laps of racing coming up for the Winstel Cup Series field here at this 2.5-mile rectangle that has been the home of the greatest spectacle in racing since 1911 and has been the heart of motorsports, not only in the U.S., but across the world over. Qualifying underway here at the Brickyard. It just got underway. You're seeing a couple cars on the racetrack as things run. Points going in. A little bit of a swing with how things went last time out. It's Emily Howe, top of the board by 4 points over Dylan Roberts, Jacob Potak in third, then Jeremy Davis in fourth. The Brazilian Gabriel Mauricio sits top 5 ahead of the defending series champion Christian Budd. Nick Doucette, Tyler Head, Sean Peleg, and Brandon McKissick sit in the top 10. As things sit, 2 races to go until the chase for the Winstel Cup begins. McKissick has got that last spot, but it's not by a wide margin with 2 races to go. Christina Ryan, 25 points away from potentially making the chase for the first time in her Winstel Cup career. We'll see if she can across these next 2 races. It's been very topsy-turvy for both McKissick and for Christina so far this summer. Brendan McGee also not sitting too far away. This is a race that he could capitalize on before we head to Richmond next weekend. Kyle Benson, Ryan Hill with a little bit more work to do. Same goes for Evan Locke, Jose Solis Jr., Ryan Andrew, Philip Snipes, Austin Reedy, and Kirk Marble, who round out your top 20 as things currently stand. You look at drivers that are pretty well out of the running to be in the chase. Parker Alexander, Larry Pace, Ryan Doucette, Josh Chin, who's not going to be here now until Dover, Jordan Barabee, Alex Bates, Brandon Cruz, Tom Willett, Jonathan Hernandez, Lucas Davila. They're your top 30 at the moment. And then you look at the battle for the top 35. No threat of failing to qualify for today's race. Only 38 cars, I do believe, 38, 39 cars potentially in the running to qualify here. So everyone's safe today. But there'll be some races where that's not going to be the case. Being top 35, make sure you're locked in if that situation arises. Champeau on the right side of that conversation. Tyler Murray on the wrong side of that conversation going into Indianapolis here tonight. Again, it is Emily Howe and Dylan Roberts and Jacob Potak, the top of the board as things currently run. Qualifying underway. Let's go ahead and get into it here. See the times running at the top of your screen. We're going to focus on Jordan Barabee, that Chip Ganassi Racing target machine, as he wheels it and deals it through turns 3 and 4. 33 cars set lap times so far. 39 present to start this race here at the Brickyard. Just shy of the full 43 car field. Across the auto bricks. And Barabee goes 22nd fastest as things sit. Andrew Griesbaum just now starting his qualifying run in the 49. At Schwann's Ford Taurus. Going around the racetrack at the moment as things currently sit. Corey Steinhaus, the 55, also rolling around on the racetrack here, but will not complete a lap time. Griesbaum cutting it close on if he will. Steinhauser, Rapus, Huff, and Tyler King will not set qualifying times. Griesbaum looks like he is bailing out of his time as well, so he'll also be at the end of the field here today. So that is qualifying done and dusted, and it is Jacob Potak at the front of the field on pole position alongside Dylan Roberts. They will lead the field to green in row number 1. Tyler Head and Christian Budd in row number 2. Pair of former Winstel champions in that second row. Emily Howe, your points leader, in row 3 alongside Brandon McKissick. Nick Doucette, Lucas Davila in row number 4. Then it's Jeremy Davis and Sean Peleg in row number 5. Row 6, it's the return of Ryan Moyer. The 31. Sorry, debut of Ryan Moyer making his Winstel debut in that 31. And that car that was driven by Corey Cook. Corey Cook moved into a different ride, gave that 31 up. While you're putting that 31 in the top 12 in qualifying for the first time this season. He's in row 6 alongside Mike Erasmus. Tom Willett and Jose Solis Jr. in row 7, Brendan McGee and Steve Brown in row number 8. And then you have Austin Reedy and Evan Locke in row 9. Chris Champeau and Christina Ryan, they will start in row 10 and round out your top 20 here at the Brickyard. Ryan Hill and Jordan Barabee. We saw Barabee's qualifying come to an end. He was 22nd. Ryan Hill to his inside in row 11. Kirk Marble and Brandon Cruz, 23rd and 24th on the starting grid, right next to each other in the points, next to each other on the racetrack as well in row 12. Mauricio and Benson, row 13, row 14, Philip Snipes and Brandon Coppinger. Alex Bates and Corey Cook. Talked about Cook abandoning that 31 for Richard Childress to move to Furniture Row Racing. He qualifies 30th. Ahead of Craig Lautenslager and Tyler Murray, who are in row 16. Mark Parkhurst, his return to Winstel after a little over a year away. He is 33rd in car 33. Matt Skipper in 34th alongside him in row 17. Row 18 is where you'll find Tyler King and Andrew Griesbaum, Ken Huff and Corey Steinhauser in row 19. Hayden Repas on his own to make up row number 40. As the field begins to roll here in Indianapolis here for the Brickyard 400. We'll pull up the explanation guide for you real quick. Those in green currently in the top 10. They are currently in the chase. Those in yellow on the bubble. They're not far away from making it in, but currently they're on the outside looking in. Those in red mathematically have zero chance of making it into the chase. So unless they're a debutante, they're going to be one of 3 colors. Your objective is to try to beat green by the end of Richmond next weekend. And of course, we have live points as well. Just looking at how they're going to start, if this was to start and finish the same way, Roberts would end up with a 15-point swing, taking the lead by 11 points. As things sit, we'll follow that throughout the day. .50 laps. 1 pit stop expected in this race. It's a matter of how many cautions we're going to see in this race beforehand. How complicated will that be? It is 2 of the season's best drivers at the front, Potak and Roberts, as we get ready to get this race underway. At a turn 4, the pace car will take that left-hand turn to pit lane. .39, Winstel machines wait for the command. Green flag flies and the Brickyard 400 is underway. Let's go racing at Indy. Lap 1 in the books, and you saw how very tightly packed everyone was close together. That was part of the concern coming here to Indianapolis. This race was supposed to take place almost 3 weeks ago. It was pushed back because of the concerns with the with how closely packed these cars are together, what kind of race are we going to get here? Everyone so far taking it a little bit easier, at least on the opening laps. I think everyone pretty well aware that you can make up ground pretty easily with how things are sitting right now here at the Brickyard. Just stay in the draft and you can live to fight another day. First through 39, 2 laps in the books. First through 38, only separated by 6 seconds. Craig Lautenslager started from pit lane. It sits a further 10 seconds adrift. Not the end of the world. Right now, sitting on your screen is 31 Ryan Moyer. He is where he started at the moment. Trying to work on the Sonoma race winner and Sean Pellick. And trying to get to the top 10 here. Pellick depends using the outside lane. You're seeing not a lot here. And you'll see more of it as this race goes along. The outside lane, a great defensive tool. The runs you can get out of the outside lane neutralizes what would have been the shorter distance on the inside lane. And now Moyer needs to rely on that to stay ahead of the 21 of Tom Willett. There's Mike Rasmus, the 00, that Ryan Chevrolet. Everyone traversing around the Brickyard pretty easily so far. Key 17th place so far as things sit. Needs to make up a little bit of ground. Right now McKissick sitting in 5th is making it difficult for both Christina Ryan and Brennan McGee. Those two are the two on the outside of the chase looking in. Christina Ryan has dropped down 3 spots from 20th to 23rd. There she is in her UPS Ford. Board with the former ABN World Champion. We'll be back in action on Wednesdays. This Wednesday at Watkins Glen for the race in New York. And you see, oh, trouble, car in the fence. Caution is out. And that is Jeremy Davis. Jeremy Davis right there in your screen. First caution comes out on lap number 5 for Jeremy Davis. 4th place in points coming in. He's going to have some work to do. Looks like Nick Doucette took to the grass to avoid him. Let's see what happens. Maybe in slow motion, quarter speed. Slides up the racetrack in front of the Argentinian, Lucas Davila. Looks like he's just getting loose there on entry. Davila has nowhere really for him to go. See where Doucette tags Davila, the 34, and goes to the grass there. Everyone else does a pretty decent job of avoiding the carnage. Yeah, we'll see if we can back it up here because we're already mid-corner when this happens. Does he send it? Oh, he 100% sends it. That is exactly what happens for Jeremy Davis. Using the slipstream here. This is what we talked about before with the slipstream being so strong. Everyone's going to be super close together, but also the momentum you're going to get, the runs you're going to try to get are pretty intense as well. Unfortunately for Davis, he checked up a little bit too much right there in front of Davila. He tried to send it. It didn't stick to the bottom. He drifts up in front of the 34. The 34 nowhere to go. Which is unfortunate. Nowhere, nothing really that Davila can do. He's running his line. Davis just couldn't stick to his. Davis also trying to make a pass, and this is what everyone was sort of concerned about, was when you start trying to make passes, how do you judge it? how much can you take? Jeremy Davis learned that not that much. So he's going to have some work to do. Cars on pit lane at the moment. Davis coming to his pit box now. And that number 4 Chevrolet. About 10 drivers stayed out here from Potak all the way to Jordan Barabee. Everyone still has a pit stop to go from here. So it doesn't really change the strategy at all. Just now you've got 2 different steps on that program as to who's pitting when they get to that pit stop window. It was about lap 27 to 30. I personally would kick it back a couple laps. I personally think I'd kick it back to about lap 32, lap 33, if you're one of the top 10 at the moment. In a 50-lap race, obviously that means that those coming down pit lane now stuff to come back down pit lane before lap 40. Shout out to Brandon McKissick running the number 30 tonight, that AOL machine. Sienna 05 driven by Jimmy McMurray. Actually, surprised he is in the 30. He's supposed to be in the 42. You see that on the screen. 30 was driven, I think, at this point. I don't remember who was driven by. Was he not by Jamie McMurray? He was in the 42. I was going to bring up the point. AOL announced this weekend that it was going to be concluding its dial-up services. AOL, one of the original major internet providers back at the start of the 2000s, continued to offer dial-up services. That'll be phased out later this year. See, throw back to a bygone era back in 2005 when AOL was still a huge player in the internet scene. Kissick right now sitting in the 4th position. We're ahead of Christian Budd, but behind Tyler Head. Kissick and Head have had several run-ins this season. Not a surprise though, 2 of the fastest drivers in the field. We're going to see them side by side with each other again here at Indy. Davis still on the pit lane at the moment. He's actually circling back around to, looks like maybe get some more work done. That's a top off of fuel as the field wraps around turn 3. So he's not going to catch up to the field in time for this restart. But he's hoping for another quick yellow so he can get more work done on that number 4. Field comes out of turn 4. This car will take the hard turn into pit lane. We will go back racing. Green flag flies and away we go. Keep an eye on the balance going on right now. Barabee getting around Doucette. as Evan Locke drops back 2 spots from the restart. Kotak trying to defend from Dylan Roberts at the front of the field. '29 is Solis, sitting right now in the 12th spot, battling with Chris Champeau for 11th. And Lee Howell right now in 13th place. Cars dancing out of turn 2. Dragon, the Serpentine. Different names for trying to break the draft down the straightaways here at Indy. Roberts playing that game along with the 22 of Kotak, as McKissick has a little bit of a latency issue in 4th behind Tyler Head. Serpentine continues. Kotak knows how to defend here at Indy. Definitely working on it. Jacob Kotak, obviously 4 wins this season, 3 poles. Knows how to win here at Winstel. Same with Dylan Roberts. He's got a race win this season. Had a couple last season as well. Tyler Head currently winless this season. Not normal for the former champion. But he's been in the mix a lot this season. That has been pretty well and assured. McKissick with a race win and a pole, along with a handful of top 5s and top 10s. Obviously Ryan Boyer. Absolutely nothing on his end right now, but he's up to 6th at the moment, which is outstanding for the debutant. Started this race in 11th, up 5 spots. Trouble, Tyler Murray. And Tyler Murray has just towed it back to pit lane. What has happened to the 33? This will be what happened to the 33. The 33 gets hip checks. So the 07 got hit checked by the 33. And that 33, I believe, was Mark Parkhurst. It was. This is Mark Parkhurst looking back. Yeah, Parkhurst he was loose. He was struggling to keep that car under wraps. And Tyler Murray, a pit attenuator. So Murray on pit lane, but will stay green. Single car accident in totality. It is Jacob Kotak that still leads. The field strings out a little bit more. This is a little bit counter to what we were expecting to see in this race. We're expecting, obviously people are still pretty close, but we're expecting it to be a little bit more frantic, and it's not been. Maybe for the best that it's not been so frantic. We had that one caution with Jeremy Davis overshooting himself across the nose of Lucas Davila. Mark Parker struggling, and Tyler Murray paying the bill for that. Yeah, 2 championship hopefuls leading a former champion right now as things sit. McKissick becoming a little bit more distant in that 4th spot. This is something that we see a decent amount when we see ABN Champ Car race here at the Brickyard. The first 3 cars in a group typically do pretty well. 4th place car starts carrying the load of all that dirty air. And that is the case right now with McKissick in 4th. Christian Budd in 5th, Ryan Moyer in 6th, Tom Willett and the Wood Brothers 21. Sitting in 7th, Evan Locke back up to the top 10, he's in 8th. Emily Howes made her way back up into the top 10 as things run. Chris Champeau in 11th, Austin Reedy in 12th. But it is a gaggle of cars here. You see the Hendrick teammates, Dissett and Peleg, side by side there. There's 7 of Ryan Hill, Mike Rasmuth, Brennan McGee, Jose Solis Jr., Gabriel Mauricio, Cal Benson. It is a wild gaggle of cars as everyone tries to chase down Chris Champeau. Brandon Cruz at the very tail end of this group, riding on board the 20. Up one spot from where he started this race. Oh, sorry. He's lost 2 spots recently. He was 23rd a lap ago. He's 25th now. He got passed by both Davila and by Steve Brown. You see he's got nothing but car in front of him. He's gonna lose another spot. That is Coppinger. I think Cruz is seeing the writing on the wall, and he is backing off and trying to avoid what he believes is a hurricane of trouble. Asmus ahead of McGee, ahead of Ryan Hill. Mike Rasmus struggling to keep touch. As Champeau struggled to get out of turn 4. Loses a spot to Peleg. Peleg on the charge, now has clean air. Trying to chase down Jordan Barabee and Ryan Moyer. See, Ryan's gotten around Lucas Davila. That is for 21st. Sienna trying to get back to 20th place where she started. And Davila's going to send it right back to turn 3. Tires beginning to fall away. You can see the pace just drop off more and more. Emily Howe on those stretch tires, though, she has been a hard charger all the way back up into 6th place. She's gotten around Willett, Locke, Barabee, and Moyer in pretty quick order. Nick Doucette's dropped back pretty hard. He's in 17th now. He also has not yet come down pit lane. The top 5 have walks away from the conversation. But Emily Howe looking pretty good so far. 1 race win this season from Charlotte. Would really love to have a second race win at the Brickyard. It'd be her 3rd modern Winstel win following her first 2 seasons ago at Talladega. To get Sean Peleg and company, it is a pretty interesting line astern of cars all the way through. This is one of those races where everyone's struggling with something. The question is, who's struggling with what? Is it tire wear? Is it just dirty air? What is everyone struggling with right now? Almost halfway through this race, as we're shortened because of the concerns of the aerodynamic model applied to these cars here at the Brickyard. There were huge concerns that I think have largely been put to bed. Obviously still a lot of close racing at the moment, but it's not been the disaster people have feared. And only that 1 caution on lap 5 for the spin of Jeremy Davis. 1 car out Tyler Murray in an incident that did not cause a caution. Kirk Marble on pit lane. He has just come down pit lane, but he's got repairs. He has pancaked the wall and has needed those repairs done. And trouble, that is the 77 of Austin Reedy. That got loose out of 4. And Reedy's gonna lose several spots. Side by side now with the Villa. Benson in tow there. Christina Ryan not close enough to take advantage as things sit. Benson gets around. That is Benson to 19th. Reedy down to 20th. Christina Ryan 21st, having gotten around Nick Doucette. Alex Bates sitting at 23rd. Top 5. Nose to tail. It is still the Jacob Potak show at the front of the field. He leads the way over Roberts, Head, McKissick, and Buck. Emily Howe trying to bring the line forward. Has to try to catch up on a 3-second gap. A little bit of a dance on the answer to turn 2 for Potak. See the serpentine, the dragon down the straightaways has stopped almost entirely. I think that they know right now they could be in trouble with Emily Howe on the chart. And Emily Howe is definitely not the norm for those that came down and grabbed those 5-lap pressure tires. She is the outlier. As Mauricio and company come down pit lane, they come down pit lane a little early. Mauricio. Scheduled stop for the Brazilian. Now down in 34th. Is the pit window earlier than we expected? Or is Mauricio pitting off sequence, knowing he's good to go to the end now? Very interesting question. We have to see if it gets answered out here. Oh, this is top 5, stay out. Track position game still pretty important for them. Mauricio comes out on the racetrack here, and for a moment we'll go a lap down. Obviously you see the white lines there, and Champ Car, you have to stay between those white lines. And Winstel competition, you just have to stay close. Mauricio slots in 3rd in line here with the race leaders. Ahead of Tyler Head, behind Dylan Roberts. Well, with pressure tires, he should be able to find his way around pretty quickly. Doucette down pit lane. That is the 2nd Hendrick Motorsports machine. And Doucette was one of those that did not pit initially. Here comes Tyler Head. So pit stops are happening here before we get to lap 25. It looks like most people will try to wait it out and go as far as the fuel tank will get them. But a decent amount of cars come down pit lane that time. Tyler Head, Mike Rasmus, Jose Solis Jr., Christina Ryan, Austin Reedy, Steve Brown, all down pit lane. The set goes a lap down. Slots in behind Christian Budd. More pit stops gonna be underway here. When do the rest of the leaders come down? Mauricio's gotten his lap back. The leaders come down pit lane this time. Potak does, and he is alone in the top 5. Come down that time. Roberts, McKissick, and Butt now front and center in the field. 24 of Doucette in the line at the moment. First car lap down. More cars coming out of pit lane. Austin Reedy, one of those cars coming out of pit lane. So is the 88 Christina Ryan, who stays lead lap, stays ahead of the leaders. very important if a caution comes out here during the pit cycle. Sienna stays on the lead lap, does not throw up the free pass. It now, right now, currently sits in the hands of Nick Doucette. Dylan Roberts comes down pit lane this time, hands the lead off to McKissick. McKissick will grab 5 extra bonus points for leading a lap. And that will help him out in his battle to stay in the chase for the Winstel Cup. And trying to stay top 10 here. And how wild are things right now? We will show you top left of your screen. Emily Howe right now has a pretty commanding lead as things sit. But remember, Emily Howe and company still need to make a pit stop as well. Emily made a pit stop on lap 6. Still needs to make one more pit stop to be good to go to the finish. But things are pretty wacky looking right now in the points. Tyler Head obviously waiting for McKissick to make his stop here, waiting for the pit stop to cycle through. But he drops tentatively down to 10th. You see just 5 points as they swap. More cars coming down pit lane. Tyler Head will move back up and into a correct position. Emily Howe, Evan Locke, and Jordan Barabee, all of them came down pit lane before. They've come down pit lane before your race leader, Brandon McKissick. That is very interesting. Not something I would have expected. More cars coming out of pit lane. Jeremy Davis, Chris Champeau. Look at how things sit right now. Christina Ryan drops to 12th as things currently sit. Ryan Hill in 11th. Christina in 12th. Kyle Benson in 13th. Brendan McGee drops to 14th place. He is 37th though. So he has overall just had a rough time so far. And Evan Locke, who came down pit lane from the top 5, was sitting pretty good until then. Now staying 20th. He will stay 15th in the points. And again, McKissick and Bud staying out together. It's keeping the 24 of Nick Doucette, the first car, a lap down. Chris Champeau stays on the lead lap, that 18 car. Kyle Benson goes a lap down. Steve Brown a lap down as well, the 43, that Cheerios car just behind. Two cars stretching it out the longest at the moment. Again, I kept saying the number I think they were trying to hit was 32. That might be the case. Christian Budd comes in now on the way to lap 30. So McKissick on his own now at the front, having yet to make a stop at all in this race. In comes 38 of Kyle Benson getting clear of Nick Doucette. McKissick is signaling he's coming down pit lane this time to make his only pit stop of the race. Where will he cycle out is going to be the next question here. As the 10 car also down pit lane. That is the 10 car Ken Huff, who was already off the pace a little bit. It does give the 48 the race lead. Sean Pellig, new race leader. The Michigander currently leads in Indiana. Interesting to see him get his second win of the season. He's averaged 1 win a year in his career in Winstel. He's already gotten one. Got one at Sonoma. Leads by almost 2.5 seconds right now over Ryan Hill and Lucas Davila in third. But they also have pit stops they need to make here at some point here shortly. And there goes the 48 down pit lane this time. It's the speed limit just fine. So does Brandon Coppinger, as Ryan Hill now leads. And that Jim Beam, number 7, he leads ahead of Davila. Brandon Cruz further 5.4 seconds behind. These are going to be the two that inherit the lead of the race when all the pit stops are said and done. It is Potak and Tyler Head, the 2 yellow cars. It is the Caterpillar Bill Davis racing machine of Potak leading the 44 of Tyler Head. Davila down pit lane. Leaves us with 6 cars. Yep, yet to make a pit stop to be good to go to the end. Try that with English. Ryan Hill, Brandon Cruz, Corey Cook, Matt Skipper, Andrew Griesbaum, and Tyler King have all yet to make a pit stop here to be good to go to the finish. Dylan Roberts in 3rd, Brandon McKissick in 4th, Christian Budd in 5th. That's how things will cycle out once the top 6 make their final pit stop. Ryan Hill in pit lane now. And that will hand the lead over to Brandon Cruz. Cruz now out front. Hill collects 5 bonus points for leading a lap. 5 for leading a lap, 5 for leading the most laps, and 5 for winning the race. Cruz right now has a lap led here at the Brickyard as we look coming towards 16 laps to go next time we'll cross the line. There's the 97 Phillips Snipes getting around Cruz right now. Here comes Corey Cook. Corey Cook looking for a lap lead. There's Matt Skipper, the Patron, number 37, well down the order. 3rd place, Tyler King, but 8 seconds away from the battle for the race lead. Cook could not take the lead away. Corey Cook has yet to lead a lap this season. Trying to change that, and that will not be the case right now. In comes both Cruz and Cook down pit lane. So they could not make it any further, but they'll pit coming to 15 laps to go, and this is for Matt Skipper in that Patron Chevrolet. Leads a lap and grabs 5 bonus points. Ahead Tyler King in his 2nd race in Winstel competition. Net zero car currently sitting P2, but with a pit stop to make. Same with Andrew Griesbaum. These 3 cars on your screen all have a pit stop to make before this race is over. If the caution comes out now, they are made. They are absolutely made. I don't think that's going to be the case. Skipper, I think, is coming down pit lane this time, according to the indication we're seeing. Don't know if all 3 of them are coming down pit lane or not, but we know Matt Skipper is. And indeed, he is the only one of that group. Tyler King will take his chance, and he will also grab 5 bonus points for leading a lap here at the Brickyard. 14 to go. Kotek using slipstream from Brennan McGee. Trying to close in a little bit. Also trying to pull away from Tyler Head. It's worked out a little bit too. You have to open up to about 8/10. They've almost caught up to your leaders on pace here. Obviously, they need to make a pit stop still, but not looking good for either of them to try to make it on the lead lap here. King comes down pit lane now. He saw his tires were falling away at a desperate level there. Andrew Griesbaum, lap leader. With 13 to go. See, Kotek has lost a lot of time battling with Brennan McGee, who's trying to stay on the lead lap. That's going to be important. He knows right now when Griesbaum comes down pit lane, McGee's going to be in the lead lap position. He's trying to stay that way right now as things run. And Griesbaum down pit lane now. You saw that in the foreground. Kotek now the race leader once again. But he's got Tyler Head on his heels. Kotek, Head on an island. McKissick 2 seconds adrift in third. And then you have to look over for the back for Christian Budd and Dylan Roberts, the 2 teammates battling side by side. 4th and 5th. Moses Lewis Jr. having a good day so far. He's in 6th, ahead of Emily Howe. Jordan Barabee in 8th, having another good day as well. Evan Locke having a much-needed top 10 day. Sitting 9th ahead of Tom Willett. Sean Peleg in 11th right now, trying to get into the top 10 to keep that top 10 streak alive. Gabriel Mauricio in 12th, Mike Rasmus in 13th, Kyle Benson in 14th place. Ahead of Chris Champeau. Christina Ryan made it up to 17th place, battling right now with Ryan Hill for that 17th spot. And Ryan Hill will take that 17th spot. Christina Ryan now dealing with Ryan Moyer in her rear view mirror. Nick Doucette in 20th rounds out the top half of the field as things run. "33 cars on the lead lap right now. McGee, the last car on the lead lap, just ahead of your race leaders. Coming to 10 laps to go. He got really loose there at turn 1. Struggling really hard with those tires. Trying to keep the leaders at bay. And he's gonna, I think, give up the ghost here and let them go through. He does. But here comes Tyler Head outside of Kotek. And Tyler Head goes through. Tyler Head gets to the race lead here. The 44 ahead of the 22. McKissick not far away. McGee in the free pass position. McKissick in the range here. He's been sneaky good. My concern is if it's Head and McKissick, with all the bad blood between those two here, if they're bound for the race lead, how bad is that going to get? Right now, McKissick struggling to get around the 22 of Potak. Side by side, they sit still through turn 1. Outside lane prevailing just a little bit, a little slideways for Potak though through 2. And Potak will lose out on second place. McKissick in second, now trying to chase down Tyler Head. And there's no doubt 44 knows what's behind him. Top 5 closed in on each other once again. Tyler Head leads the way. Christian Budd and Dylan Roberts have closed in on this conversation in the top 5. McKissick wants to go for the race lead. He's going to have a chance at it here down at turn 1. These two are not going to give each other any slack. Very tight together in turn 2 as they were in turn 1. McKissick's trying to side draft off of Tyler Head. Bud's gotten around the 9 of McGee. These two slowing down each other so much, it's brought the entire top 5 into the bubble. McKissick gets clear that time. But now, can he get away? 6 to go. Tyler Head stays second. He's not going to let this one go quietly. Potak squirrely again. His tires beginning to fade, have to at this point, but I think Tyler Head's has as well. Unless one of the Fords can say something about it. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think McKissick has got this one pretty well in hand right now as things stand. Right now, the one thing these drivers don't want to see right now is a caution with 5 to go. Because that would pull the pin right out of the grenade that they have worked so hard to defuse tonight. McKissick now opened up a second gap on Tyler Head. Once he got clean air, he was gone. Was no doubt about it. Potak right now sitting in the 4th spot. Dylan Roberts in 5th, Sean Pellig in 6th. There's Pellig and Solis 6th and 7th at the moment as things sit. They're ahead of the rookie Jordan Barabee. Right now sitting in the 8th spot. Tom Willett, one of his better runs so far this season. He's in 9th at the moment as things sit. Emily Howell, who entered this race as your points leader, will not be points leader as things sit, leaving Indianapolis. 10th place finish. Overall, though, pretty good nonetheless. Evan Locke in 11th. Trying to get back into the top 10 here. As Emily Howell looks to the inside of the 21. Rasmus on a little bit of an island, battling with Gabriel Mauricio. Stavilla trying to close in on Ryan Hill. Christina Ryan losing another spot. This is 2:43 is Steve Brown, so that's for 20th. It is Brown, Ryan, and Doucette. Three-car fight there to try to get into the top 20. Ryan Moyer just behind them in 23rd. Brandon Cruz at 24th. Mark Parker's his first race back in Winstel in over a year, and he is sitting in the 26th starting position. I'm sorry, 26th position overall as a whole. Started this race a little further down the running order, 33rd for car 33. Skipper likewise led a lap today. Just a little feather in his cap. As with Tyler King, 27. Brendan McGee was the last car on the lead lap for a while. Now he's the first car a lap down. Austin Reedy, now the last car on the lead lap. Not far away from the race leaders. That was a car spun. Trying to see who that was spun. It was Skipper. It was Matt Skipper that was spun. And he's got, significant damage on the 37. As he tries to get out of the way and down pit lane, he will. So no caution, and that helps out Brandon McKissick. Once he gets the white flag, it is official. Out of turn 4. Brandon McKissick grabs the white flag. 1 lap to go in the Brickyard. Car coming out of pit lane was Corey Steinhauser, 55. But it is Brandon McKissick coming around for his second win of the season. He left everyone high and dry, got that clean air, got the race lead, and didn't look back over these last 5 laps. Put a 2.8 second gap on Christian Budd. Tyler Head will round out the podium as things sit, but it is all eyes on Brandon McKissick. Second race win of the season. He brings it home at the Brickyard. He's got a crown jewel. The Brickyard 400 is his. More cars come around, start finish line. Sienna Ryan gets loose out of 4, loses another spot down to 24th. And what has been a disaster day for her. While McKissick puts an exclamation point on where he's at in the chase for the Winstel Cup standings. Christina Ryan couldn't have a much worse day. In fact, it can be said for all of the hopefuls that were on the outside looking in, for Brendan McGee, Christina Ryan, all of them having abysmal days in the office here at the Brickyard. But it is all Brandon McKissick, who will try to save enough fuel to burn it down on the front straightaway as your race winner here in Indy. Everyone skated through that pretty well unscathed. Only 1 caution tonight, and I think the worries about the boogeyman here at the Brickyard were put to rest in a pretty good way. McKissick will burn it down on the front straightaway. Break the cardinal rule about doing burnouts in the yard of bricks. Obviously, the virtual bricks not in any danger of being damaged. Real life bricks. Very different case. But McKissick will do a small little burnout before the fuel, I think, runs dry on that 30 car. And McKissick will have his second race win of the season. While McKissick celebrates in victory lane, we will go ahead and we'll talk to our third place finisher. We'll talk to Tyler Head, who had a race win in grasp for a period of time and then it slipped away. Tyler, walk us through it. It was a different race than I think we were forecasting here at the Brickyard, but it seemed like that 44 car was just missing a little bit at the end. Was it all the tire wear?
Some tire wear, some I was not doing as good a job generating runs down the straightaways as Potak and McKissick, and I think Dylan and Bud were a bit better off of 2 and 4 than I was too. But the whole idea for my strategy was pit early, link up with somebody, and draft the rest of the way. But that's just not the way it played out. And then we came up on Brennan, who had his pit road penalty that brought him back into the mix, and it just sort of got us clogged up. And I don't know if we would have had a big enough lead without that to be able to hold off the 42 and the 17 coming through. I mean, the 42 was in particular running fast that whole way through. But it would have been interesting to see. As it was, that made it pretty clear that we were going to get swallowed up by the fresher tires well before we got to the finish. So tried to fight a little bit and see if I could make a race out of it, but just didn't have enough there. So congrats to McKissick. He ran a great race. Really stout, and I'm happy for everybody that race was a bit different than what we were projecting.
Yeah, I think we were expecting. We opened the show with the thought of it's either going to be spectacular or it's going to be horrific, and luckily everyone avoids the trauma for the most part. Only one caution early on for a single car spin, I think being a pretty good thing to walk away from. We now go to a track where maybe we have to pay that debt of having a calm race with Richmond coming up here next weekend. 180 laps. It's a longer race. What's the feeling going into the short oval to end off the regular season, knowing that you're not completely safe in the top 10 in points? There is a mathematical chance that you could have a really bad day and not be in the conversation for the championship after Richmond.
Yeah, I think the Richmond's been a decent track for this league racing wise. Knock on wood, hopefully that trend continues, but there's a big unknown with this car. We haven't taken it to a short track yet, so there's going to be a lot of homework to be done on how we set that up, and then how does a race progress with this car versus what we used to race. So where the similarities lie and where the differences are and how quickly you can figure that out, I'm sure going to make a big difference. But for me, I'm still, win oriented. I haven't gotten one this year, but I'm going to take the approach with that race, especially with the amount of buffer that I do have to try to give myself a shot. And if that's the way the cards fall, then that's the way the cards fall. If not, try to have fun along the way.
Well, a lot of fun watching the cars race tonight. 50 laps here, and it was a lot calmer of a race than we were anticipating here. A podium tonight helps out a tremendous amount. Before we let you go and let you obviously get ready for Richmond next weekend, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, Tyler, the floor is yours. Congrats on a pretty great ride. Qualified third, didn't ever leave the top 3 here tonight, here in the Brickyard.
Yeah, I'll just shout out the usual suspects, you for the stream, all the people that make Winstel happen from the admin team to Emily with the setups, and everybody that shows up. It's fun because of everybody's contribution. Without some people out there on the track to be, really fierce competitors, or without all the things that make this so fun to look back on and relive the some of the heydays of NASCAR racing, it wouldn't be the same without any of those pieces. So thank you to everybody that's involved.
Fantastic job for Tyler Head. P3 tonight, still looking for his first win of the season, but he's got one more race in the regular season to try to do that. Richmond coming up next weekend. Tyler, enjoy it.
Thank you.
That was Tyler Head, third place finisher here at the Brickyard. We'll move on to the defending series champion, Tyler Head, who got close, but not close enough. Second place for the 17 car. It's been that story for a lot of these races, Christian, where it's been close. There's just been one car a little bit quicker or two cars a little bit quicker. Walk us through that one. It seemed like it was because it got clean air. That was pretty well done. Tyler said that there was a lot of tire wear, that it was just sort of the concern of once the clean tires got through, it was pretty much done. Where was your stance on it?
Yeah, it was a good race. I think the call was to run long. I wasn't actually planning to really do that that long. I was going to probably pit with the other guys, but I wanted to lead a lap actually, and McKissick stayed out for a little bit, and finally I was like, I felt like I was going to be losing too much time, so I pit, and then he came in a lap after me. I don't think that was the difference. I think once he got clean air, probably was just driving a little bit better than I was, so he was making a little bit more lap time. Certainly, once he battled through, I kind of was still battling with Potak and Tyler there to get through that, and he had a short shoot on me once I got clear, so it was really going to be pretty hard to catch him at that point. But second again at Indy, I want to win Indy so bad, but just didn't work out, unfortunately.
Obviously, it didn't work out as far as you trying to win the crown jewel here at the Brickyard, but it did work out in terms of how this race went. A lot of concerns over whether this race was going to be good, whether it was going to be bad. I know you were on the fence of this probably wasn't expected to be a good race. How pleasantly surprising was it to have the race turn into what it became there across 50 laps, where we only had that one caution, and it was for a single car spin of all things?
Well, what I can tell you is this race turned out the way it was because of a lot of hard work from the Winstel group, Emily with the setup. We all really did the best we could with what I consider a bad situation with this car. And, that first run really was what I expected. You couldn't do anything. You couldn't pass. We're all on equal tires. Making a pass. I tried to make a move on Tyler. I lost a spot to McKissick. That's the problem with this car right now, with this draft, with this track. The track, Tyler was holding us up on older tires on the outside lane. It's just very frustrating with the state of things right now. But fortunately, tire wear became a factor. So at the end there, we were able to see, cars make moves and make passes. There was a strategy play to add some excitement to this thing. So that's what happened there. But would have liked to just had a normal race and see who could have just been fast and won. May not have been a different result. McKissick had it tonight, but you never know.
And we move on to another question mark for the new Gen 4 car. We go to a short oval for the first time with this machine. Obviously, it's some testing yielding some promising hopes for Richmond next weekend. Last race of the regular season before the Chase for the Winstel Cup begins. Is the level of expectation a little bit higher when we go to Richmond next weekend?
I hope so. I don't really seen a lot of testing on it. It seemed like the short tracks do okay with the car. I can promise you that everybody is going to work as hard as they can to make these races as exciting and good as we can, no matter what we're given. But it would be nice to have a little bit of help from iRacing as far as getting these things buttoned down, so that they're not such a battle and we're not having to do all the crazy stuff trying to make it work. But Richmond, I have run okay there over the years. It's been one of my favorite races we've done over the past 3-4 years. I think it's our best short track by far. So I'm really hoping that we can have a good race there like we've had in the past. I wish I was a little faster. Seems like Jose has kind of had the number for that place, and Emily's been real fast there. Parker Alexander's been real fast there. So there's a lot of people who could contend for that win. I usually run like 7th to 10th. So we'll see what happens, but I'm hoping we have a good one.
It should be a lot of fun here no matter what going into Richmond next weekend. Before we let you go, Christian, if there's anyone you shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congrats on another amazing effort. P2 tonight here at Brickyard, here in Indianapolis at the Brickyard, and pretty safe to be in the Chase for the Winstel Cup with the points being mapped out here. You'll be back for a championship once again, try to defend that crown later on this fall.
Yeah. So shout out tonight, everybody who makes all this happen here at Winstel, all the drivers who showed up, put on a good race, one caution. So that's what we needed for Indy. Really impressed with how everybody handled this car and the situation that we had. And then on a personal note, just want to shout out Mom and Dad for watching. They always watch these things, and Dad's been battling some cancer and stuff. So just want to say to him, we love you. So proud of him fighting this good fight, and means a lot for them watching. So thank you.
Phenomenal job for Christian Budd here, P2 at the Brickyard, the defending Winstel champion, one step closer to defending that crown when the chase begins after Richmond. Christian, enjoy it, and we'll hopefully talk to you again next week with one spot better.
Thank you.
That was Christian Budd, our second place finisher here tonight. And now we'll move on to the race winner, the man of the hour, Brandon McKissick. His second race win of the season gives him some security going into Richmond towards being in the chase for the Winstel Cup. It was a close margin going in, blown wide open coming out of Indianapolis here. Brandon, walk us through it. That car seemed to be a rocket ship when it mattered the most.
Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise for me because I didn't really practice or turn many laps before the race. So I didn't expect much out of this race, to be honest with you. But I do have a general blueprint of driving this track, especially in turn one. For the past 10 years I've been in this game, just knowing how to point and shoot the corners here is a big advantage. And this car is different. It has a very distinct feel. So at the start of the race, I definitely was a bit lost. I was missing several corners. I was getting very loose at a turn two, skating the rears, but once the first run progressed after our early yellow, I started to be more consistent in making the corners and getting a straighter entry to preserve my rear tires. And then on the second run, I had clean track the whole time, and I was able to just be smooth through the corners and preserve my tires when I was already on a 5 or 6 lap tire advantage to the top two. So that, I believe, is what allowed me to win this race.
Obviously a much needed result for you here. Obviously missed a couple races, got a little bit sketchy as far as the points were concerned going in. You were 10th coming into this race. We'll look at the points officially going out, but you go from a 15-point margin to now you're ahead and pretty well clear by 70, 80 points. Needs you have a very bad day at Richmond for that to change. What does that sort of do for you going into Richmond here, knowing that you're no longer sitting on that knife's edge, especially given how the last couple races went where things didn't quite go your way going through that little lead up?
Well, yeah, it's my own doing. Not only have I missed races and not been here, period, but aside of that, the races I've run, I just haven't finished them. Like Watkins Glen, I got turned with 2 laps to go. My fault for running as back as I was anyway. I just wasn't good. When it comes to other tracks, I just haven't mentally been in it. I just run the races and I'm just oh, it's Sunday. I'll run the league. I'm having fun. But all those bad finishes kept piling up one after the other when I get caught up in stuff. And before you know it, I'm on the points bubble. So I went into this race with a mentality of I need to finish good or else it's going to be bad. And I did exactly that. So this is obviously the best case scenario for me, and I'm definitely glad it went this way.
It works out phenomenally for you here, and obviously second race win of the season. We know the pace that you've had all season long has shown through. Richmond coming up here. Everyone's a little bit more hopeful. Everyone's looked at Indy as sort of the race to try to just get through and cruise through. Richmond is a feast or famine type event. Where does it sit for you, knowing that it is the race before the chase for the Winstel Cup?
I just need to finish. If I don't crash and I get a top 15, preferably a top 10, I'll be perfectly fine. But God forbid if something happens and I obviously DNF, that would be a situation where I could absolutely miss it. So I just need to go in there, focus on qualifying good first and foremost, and just choose the right strategy. Doesn't have to win me the race, but just the right strategy to where I'm on the right side of traffic and any chaos, and just survive the day. So just not overstep myself and just survive the day and just drive to my own pace. Because when I do that, things will turn out good. So I just need to remind myself of that.
Well, tonight worked out perfectly fine for Brandon McKissick here. Brandon, before we let you go and let you focus on getting ready for Richmond, in that hopeful championship battle after Richmond. If there's anyone to shout out and say thank you to, the floor is yours. You had a rocket ship tonight. Got to pull out a 3-second lead when it mattered at the end to win here at the Brickyard and grab that crown jewel. The floor is yours for anyone you want to shout out.
Yeah, so I'd like to thank Brennan for putting on this league, and all the admins, everybody who helps, just keep Winstel going and its best ability. You guys are putting on amazing broadcasts week in, week out, and everybody else in the field who comes out and runs. Everybody raced clean up front. There were no issues. Things were smooth sailing, and you don't get that as often as obviously people would like to these days. And it's just refreshing to have that in Winstel. And the set wasn't easy to drive either. It was loose off the corner, and everybody hung on to it for the most part. So definitely props to the field.
Yeah, huge shout out to everyone that helped make this race happen and keep this race as good as it was tonight. Brandon McKissick grabs a crown jewel, wins the Brickyard 400 with his sights set on being a championship contender. One more stop to go through, and that is Richmond next Sunday. Brandon, enjoy the race win, and hopefully we'll talk to you again in a very similar situation next weekend.
Thank you.
That was Brandon McKissick, your race winner here tonight. And in a phenomenal effort, we talked to all three of our podium finishers. We'll go through the official race results. It is McKissick, Budd, and Head, your top three. Jacob Potak missing out on the podium. Your pole sitter finishes in fourth. Your front row, fourth and fifth as things run. Dylan Roberts in that fifth spot. Sean Pellick keeps that top 10 streak going. He has had a swing of fortunes coming around. He is now doing phenomenal in sixth place. We'll talk about the points in a second because it's been a wild shift for the last month in the point standings. Jordan Barabee not in that chase conversation, but a good top 10 finish. Seventh place for him ahead of Jose Solis Jr., Emily Howe, and Tom Willett. The Wood Brothers machine, top 10, I believe for the first time this season, if I'm not mistaken, for Mr. Tom Willett. 11th place, Evan Locke, missing out on the top 10 just barely. Ryan Hill in 12th. Lucas Davila, who was involved earlier in that caution, was cleared of any wrongdoing for that caution on lap 5. He put up his hand and said he could have been at fault at that. He served an EOL for that caution. Ended up getting back up to 13th anyway, but Winstel officials cleared him of any wrongdoing for that caution after reviewing it. So Lucas Davila not only in the good, but drove good too to get back to 13th ahead of Mike Rasmuth, Gabriel Mauricio, Kyle Benson, Brandon Coppinger, Chris Champeau, Alex Bates, and Steve Brown, who round out your top 20. Not a great day for some drivers in this page of the screen. Brandon Cruz, 21st. Not a bad day. Started this race in 23rd. Gained 2 spots. Corey Cook there also did a decent job in 22nd. Ryan Moyer, his debut, started well, didn't end well. 23rd for the 31. Christina Ryan, not the day she needed at the Brickyard. She has been here before. She has won at the Brickyard before. Today was not her day. 24th ahead of Nick Doucette, who also had a very bad day. Bad strategy call, and it all snowballs from there for the 24 car. Mark Parkhurst, his first race back in Winstel in over a year. He ends up 26th. Not a bad effort after starting 33rd. Tyler King, his second race, a little bit more teething pains. He is going through the gauntlet from Watkins Glen, Indianapolis, and Richmond next weekend. He'll have even more fun trying to figure this car out on the short oval. Andrew Griesbaum led a lap for the first time this season, 28th for him in that 49 car. Philip Snipes, 29th. Craig Lautenslager in 30th on the lead lap. Austin Reedy and Brennan McGee for 31st, 32nd. Austin Reedy, last car on the lead lap. Brennan McGee, first car a lap down. He takes a giant hit today in the points. Matt Skipper, Hayden Repas, Jeremy Davis, and Ken Huff all a lap down, but at the finish. Same with Corey Steinhauser, 3 laps down, though, for him. Only 2 retirements, and that is Tyler Murray, who crashed out on lap 5. Sorry, not the case. Let me correct myself on that. Jeremy Davis was the one that crashed out on lap 5. He ended up only being 1 lap down after getting that car repaired. It's Tyler Murray that crashed out on lap 10 after that contact with Parkhurst. Kirk Marble pancaked the wall as well. 8 laps later on lap 18, and ends up finishing his day there as well. So 37 finishers, 2 retirements, and it is Brandon McKissick with his second win of the season to move on to Richmond next weekend. And the points as they stand, we'll go ahead and go through all of that as well. We'll not go through the full points. We'll just look at the top 20 here. Dylan Roberts takes points lead away from Emily Howe. They've been flip-flopping the championship lead pretty well every weekend. Jacob Potak gets close as well. Tied with Emily Howe with 18 points, the gap to the top of the board. Jeremy Davis takes a hit with his bad race tonight, but he's still safe right now in 4th. Gabriel Mauricio in 5th. Christian Budd, Tyler Head, Sean Pellig, Nick Doucette, Brandon McKissick. Everyone that entered the top 10 here in this race stayed there. It's just positions changed. The interesting thing is that the gap between McKissick and those on the outside looking in is a lot deeper. Christina Ryan back up, 11th place for her, but over 100 points away from Brandon McKissick now with 1 race to go. Kind of puts curtains on that conversation on who's going to be in or out of the chase. McKissick said it himself, he needs to just finish the race at Richmond next weekend. If he doesn't, and Christina Ryan does remotely well at a track she typically does not do well at, things could flip. So a lot counting against the 88 car. Kyle Benson, her teammate, also on the outside looking in. Brendan McGee from 12th to 15th, a wild drop for the 9 car. Ryan Hill also on the outside looking in, needing help. Evan Locke on the outside looking in, needing help. Anyone beyond Jose Solis Jr. mathematically ineligible for the chase for the Winstel Cup. So it is a tough hill to climb with 1 race to go before the chase begins. Richmond next Sunday, right here on Twitch for the Winstel Cup Series to end off the regular season. We have a stop before that, though. It is the ABN Champ Car World Series on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Twitch. You're going to want to join us for that. It is at Watkins Glen, and it was going to be some rain. So wild time seeing some rain for the first time in that series at Mid-Ohio. It's going to be even more wild at a track everyone knows in New York. We hope you see you then. On behalf of everyone here for Winstel, for ABN, and all of its partners all together, we're glad you joined us. Stay safe and stay healthy. If we don't see you on Wednesday at Watkins Glen, we'll see you on Sunday at Richmond. Until next time, so long, everybody, from the Brickyard.